Hey, what's up, folks? How's it going? So today's interview question is, what is Docker Compose and how to write Docker Compose file. So Docker Compose, it's a tool which allows you to define and run multi-container Docker application. So it allows you to run and define multi-container Docker application using simple YML file. So you write Docker Compose YML file and multiple container you can run using Docker Compose. So instead of running Docker run multiple times to run multiple containers, you can use Docker Compose. So we'll see the example. So what are the basic structure of Docker Compose file? You will have version, defines the Docker Compose file format version, services, define different containers in the application, and volumes and network, they're optional. Volumes for persistent data storage and networks for custom networks for inter-container communication. Version, services, volumes, network. So let's look at one example. Here version is 3.8. It means it's compatible with Docker Compose 3.8. Then we have services. And here you can see there are two services, web and Redis. The web container it's using Nginx. And here we are mapping port, container port 80 to host port 8080. Then in the volume section, we have custom Nginx configuration that we are mapping to and this container path. Then we are connecting to this custom network, my network. So this container is connected to my network. Then we have another service running using Redis image and it's connected to my network and there is no port exposed to host. So that means it's not accessible from outside. Only these two guys can communicate, Wave and Redis. Redis won't be able to talk to outside. And then we have defined a bridge network, my network. And this my network is used by both the services. So we have seen here we have version, services, volume, and networks. Okay. And there are two containers, two services we are running. So if there is a one also, we can run Docker run. But if there are multiple containers, let's say there are 10 containers we are running, then Docker run 10 times instead of repeating 10 times, we can put it to Docker Compose. Now let's run this Docker Compose file. Uh, Docker Compose up minus D. So I have already downloaded the image, Redis image, and the other one, Nginx image. If the image is not downloaded, it would have been downloaded those images. It would have been pulled those images. So you can see it's already started. Now we can go to localhost and see whether it's working or not. Yes, so it's working. Localhost 8080. Okay. So what are the other commands are there? To stop all services, we can use Docker Compose down. Docker Compose up minus D is to start it. Docker Compose down to shut it down. So let's look at uh, some example quiz. And web application, there may be a question, how do you write Docker Compose file for web application with database Node.js plus MySQL? So in a similar way, you have to define services like app service, and then you define working directory, volumes, ports, maybe it depends on something, DB. You can define environment variables, network to connect to. Then the second one is a database service, which is using MySQL. And then you can define your own volume, networks, etc. So this is the how we can write a Docker Compose file. So depends on, here key concept is depends on, it ensures DB starts before the app. So this database has to be started before the app. So when there is a depends on, it has to be started before the app. So these are some of the important components. Docker Compose up minus D to start all the service. Docker Compose down to stop all the service. Docker Compose restart to restart service. Docker compose log minus F to view the log files. Okay. And a Docker compose app minus scale app equal to 3 minus D to run the three instances of the app. When to use Docker compose? If you want to run multi-container applications, simplifying local development and testing, managing dependencies between containers, and defining infrastructure code. So instead of running like Docker run, then mapping the port and all this configuration manually typing every time, you can configure everything in Docker Compose files. Okay, let's see today's quiz. So every day I post one quiz on my LinkedIn page, Devops Challenge Hub. So today's quiz is which is not part of the Docker Compose file, which is not the part of Docker Compose file. Version, services, volumes, network, config. So we know that version, services, volumes, network. These four are part of Docker Compose. So config is not part of Docker config file. Okay. The config is not the standard top level key in the Docker Compose or YAML file. While you can manage configuration using environment variable, but it's not top level config file. So I hope you like this video. Please like and share it and follow my WhatsApp channel and LinkedIn page, Devops Challenge Hub. You can participate in the quiz also. And thank you for watching this video. See you in the next video.